If you are reading this book to learn the hard research facts about Atlantis, you may well miss our point. The Atlantis we are talking about comprises much more than you will learn from archaeology, though we certainly believe that recent discoveries now support once discarded notions of advanced pre-Diluvian civilization. Atlantis, we believe, was not only an archetype or dream or cautionary tale, but a real place, and an advanced one at that. But here we are talking about what we might call the Greater Atlantis, not just a city or even a continent, but in fact a lost identity for the human race, whose murdered corpse, like the ghost of Hamlet's father, still cries out to us as we confront the disturbing possibilities of our future. According to the Greek philosopher Plato, whose dialogues Timaeus and Critias are usually cited by academia as the sole source of the Atlantis story, an Egyptian priest of Sais told Solon, Plato's ancestor, about Atlantis. After pointing out that Earth's history is far more ancient than any childish Greek could possibly appreciate, the priest said, quote, "There have been and will be again many destructions of mankind arising out of many causes. The greatest have been brought about by the agencies of fire and water, and other lesser ones by innumerable other causes." Unquote. The recurrent rise and fall of civilization, as reflected in the Atlantis story, has been noted often and provoked many warnings of what may lie in store. In his haunting 1959 science fiction novel, A Canticle for Leibowitz, author Walter M. Miller, Jr. envisioned a post-apocalyptic future, one very much like our own ancestors must have experienced between ice ages or after the fall of a civilization like, perhaps, Atlantis, in which few fragments of the present civilization survive, and they are, at best, only dimly understood. In the book, set centuries after a nuclear holocaust, humanity has again, as suggested by the priest of Sais, fallen into the barbarism of a dark age. Struggling to preserve the fragile relics remaining for a more advanced, albeit forgotten era, a handful of cloistered and dedicated monks seek to stave off the looming threat of total amnesia for humanity, and to beatify the blessed Leibowitz, founder of their order in the aftermath of the ancient war. The brothers themselves, unfortunately, have lost most of the keys to understanding the mysterious culture that had preceded them, which was wiped out by a legendary deluge of fire, one which the reader will recognize as nuclear cataclysm. Their mistakes in interpreting the few treasured artifacts they possess are many. Some, to our sophisticated eyes, are funny. An electronic schematic diagram, for example, though incomprehensible, is yet seen as a thing of mystical beauty. One consecrated monk spends a lifetime lovingly illuminating it with gold scrollwork. Another fragment that inspires the brothers to the most sublime metaphysical speculations is a precious, though mysterious, fragment requesting, quote, "a pound of pastrami and 6 bagels," unquote. And within the cloistered walls of the monastery, tales of fallouts, the dreadful monsters that once devoured the ancients, are whispered about with much fear and trembling. Ages pass in Miller's tale, and an understanding of nature's processes once again begins to dawn. Electricity is rediscovered, mechanical transportation develops, and so does powered flight. Technology is born again. And even as, in a flawed and distorted way, the knowledge of the ancients is slowly reconstructed, peculiar patterns from the previous age begin, ironically, to reappear. A fanatical religious dogma blocks recognition of the true nature of ancient advancements, and an arrogant new order seeks to stamp out any awakening to the world's true history by claiming its own achievements to be unprecedented. To buttress its own authority, the new establishment initiates an inquisition in which theologically and politically incorrect views are repressed and punished. Somehow, though, as Miller tells it, despite ignorance and tyranny, civilization painfully climbs once again to the heights and eventually finds itself at a crossroads where, like its forebears, it must confront terrible dilemmas or die. If society were to survive, Miller believed, it must somehow come to understand and overcome the challenges that destroyed its ancient ancestors. Yet today, to hear some tell it, the story of human evolution is one of almost unbroken ascent. From the darkness of the Stone Age, we have traveled inexorably to the so-called enlightenment of our present age. Certainly there have been setbacks, wars, plagues, and the like,
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.